Good morning, and thank you for joining us for our online service this morning. Today is August 9th, 2020, and I invite you to start by joining me in our welcoming statement. No matter who you are or where you are on your life's journey,
you are welcome here.
Thank you. So this morning's service is all about rivers. And it started a couple weeks ago when Maria was looking for some music to play at a service that we actually recorded at Sherry's house. And then we kind of shifted gears to talk about John Lewis. And so we had like some great songs that we'd come across about, and it turned out one was about rivers, and we're like, well, that's a great metaphor. So we ended up finding some more river songs. And then I realized this last week we were on vacation, and everywhere we went, we ended up being right by a river. We crossed the Mississippi to go to Wisconsin, and our family was right there on the Red Cedar River that goes through their town, just up the road. And then on our way back, we stopped on the Zumbrota River. No, it's the Zumbro River. At Oxbow Park, just the same, to go and see some animals and to check out the Oxbow. And then when we went down to Decorah, we had a beautiful view of the upper Iowa River. And so I just was really appreciating the beauty of all those rivers. And I've always liked the Cedar River that goes through here in Austin, because where I grew up down in Iowa, the same river flows through as well. So I've lived most of my life very close to the Cedar River. So thinking about all these rivers that we got to experience this week was reminding me of a passage that I really liked. It's a nice short one from the book Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. And in the book, the seeker and this very knowledgeable person ends up becoming, he works as a ferryman and shepherding people across the river. And he ends up learning a lot there as he's working the river. Have you also learned that secret from the river, that there is no such thing as time? That the river is everywhere at the same time, at the source and at the mouth, at the waterfall, at the ferry, at the current, in the ocean, and in the mountains. Everywhere, and that the present only exists for it, not the shadow of the past, nor the shadow of the future. So I invite you to think about the rivers, the fact that so much water is constantly moving, and yet the river is itself, even though it's constantly changing. Now a reflection from the essay The Flow of the River by Loren Eisley. If there is magic on this planet, it is contained in water. Once in a lifetime, perhaps, one escapes the actual confines of the flesh. Once in a lifetime, if one is lucky, one so merges with sunlight and air and running water that whole eons, the eons that mountains and deserts know, might pass in a single afternoon without discomfort. The mind has sunk away into its beginnings among old roots and the obscure tricklings and movings that stir inanimate things. One can never quite define the secret, but it has something to do, I'm sure, with common water. Its substance reaches everywhere. It touches the past and prepares the future. It moves under the poles and wanders thinly in the heights of air. It can assume forms of exquisite perfection in a snowflake, or strip the living to a single shining bone cast up by the sea. Now the song River of Jordan.
I traveled the banks of the river of Jordan to find where it flows to the sea. I looked in the eyes of the cold and the hungry, and I saw I was looking at me. I wanted to know if life had a purpose and what it all means in the end. In the silence, I listened to voices inside me, and they told me again and again. There is only one river, there is only one sea, and it flows through you, and it flows through me. There is only one people, we are one and the same. We are all one spirit, we are all one name. daughter, and son. From the dawn of creation, we are one. Every blade of grass on the mountain, every drop in the sea, every cry of a newborn baby, every prayer to be free, every hope at the end of a rainbow, every song ever sung is a part of the family of woman and man, and that means everyone. We are only one river, we are only one sea, and it flows through you, and it flows through me. We are only one people, we are one and the same. We are all one spirit, all one name. We are the Father, Mother, daughter, and Son. From the dawn of creation, we are one. We are one. We are one.
A reading from Ecclesiastes 1, verse 4 through 7. A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hurries to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Round and round goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full to the place where the streams flow. There they continue to flow.
A poem by Mary Oliver. The name of the poem is At the River Clarion. I don't know who God is exactly, but I'll tell you this. I was sitting in the river named Clarion on a water splash stone, and all afternoon I listened to the voices of the river talking. Whenever the water struck a stone, it had something to say. And the water itself, and even the mosses trailing under the water. And slowly, very slowly, it became clear to me what they were saying. Said the river, I am a part of holiness. And I too, said the stone, and I too, whispered the moss beneath the water. I'd been to the river before a few times. Don't blame the river that nothing happened quickly. You don't hear such voices in an hour or a day. You don't hear them at all if selfhood has stuffed your ears. And it's difficult to hear anything anyway through all the traffic, the ambition.
If God exists, he isn't just butter and good luck. He's also the tick that killed my wonderful dog, Luke. Said the river, imagine everything you can imagine, then keep on going. Imagine how the lily, who may also be a part of God, would sing to you if it could sing, if you would pause to hear it. And how are you so certain anyway that it doesn't sing? If God exists, he isn't just churches and mathematics. He's the forest. He's the desert. He's the ice caps that are dying. He's the ghetto and the Museum of Fine Arts. He's Van Gogh and Allen Ginsberg and Robert Motherwell. He's the many desperate hands cleaning and preparing their weapons. He's every one of us potentially. The leaf of grass, the genius, the politician, the poet. And if this is true, isn't it something very important? Yes, it could be that I am a tiny piece of God, and each of you too, or at least, of his intention and his hope, which is a delight beyond measure. I don't know how you get to suspect such an idea. I only know that the river kept singing. It wasn't a persuasion, it was all the river's own constant joy, which was better by far than a lecture, which was comfortable, exciting, unforgettable.
Of course, for each of us, there is the daily life. Let us live it, gesture by gesture. When we cut the ripe melon, should we not give it thanks? Should we not thank the knife also? We do not live in a simple world. There was once someone I loved who grew old and ill. One by one, I watched the fires go out. There was nothing I could do, except to remember that we receive, then we give back.
My dog Luke lies in a grave in the forest. She is given back. But the river Clarion still flows from wherever it comes from, to where it has been told to go. I pray for the desperate earth. I pray for the desperate world. I do the little each person can do. It isn't much. Sometimes the river murmurs. Sometimes it raves.
Along its shores were many, I say, very intense cardinal flowers, and trees and birds that have wings to hold them. For heaven's sake, the lucky ones. They have such deep natures. They are so happily obedient. While I sit there in a house filled with books, ideas, thoughts, hesitations, and keep pressed deep into my mind, the river keeps coming, touching me, passing by on its long journey, its pale and fallible voice singing.
All that I have is a river. The river is always my home. Lord, take me away, for I just cannot stay, or I'll sink in my skin and my bones. The water sustains me without even trying. The water can't drown me. I'm done with my dying. Please help me build a small boat, one that'll ride on the flow, where the river runs deep and the larger fish creep. I'm glad of what keeps me afloat. The water sustains me without even trying. The water can't drown me. I'm done with my dying. Now deeper the water I sail, and faster the current I'm in. But each night brings the stars, and the song in my heart is a tune for the journeyman's tale. The water sustains me without even trying. The water can't drown me. I'm done with my dying. Now the land that I knew is a dream, and the line on the distance grows faint. So wide is my river, the horizon a sliver. The artist has run out of paint. Where the blue of the sea meets the sky, and the big yellow sun leads me home. I'm everywhere now. The way is a vow to the wind of each breath by and by. The water sustains me without even trying. The water can't drown me. I'm done with my dying.
For Seasons of Hope, I'll read the name and ask you to repeat them. Patty,
Patty,
Sarah,
Sarah,
Anna,
Anna,
Jeff and Mary,
Jeff and Mary,
Susan,
Susan,
Brad,
Brad,
Irma,
Irma,
Bob and Joe,
Bob and Joe,
Dan,
Dan,
caregivers,
caregivers,
leaders,
leaders,
and advocates of justice
and advocates of justice
around the world.
around the world.
For gratitude, we received an email thanking all for providing the online service. And Molly wants to share a gratitude.
I'm grateful for my dogs.
Grateful for our dogs. An act of kindness was sent in. It says, I recently gave someone a heartfelt compliment and was grateful how it blessed her. We're also grateful for the confirmation kids. They took a trip around our neighborhood and picked up trash, and it made a difference, and they were thanked immediately for that by one of the neighbors. So thank you.
What does our still speaking God require of us?
I don't know.
To do justice,
To do justice,
to love kindness,
to love kindness
to walk humbly with our God,
to God.
and walk humbly with God.
Walk humbly with God.
Amen.